Hey, welcome back to Corbellic Studios. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're here for the best paint show right now where we cover the best topics. We get into the best painting. I show you how to paint fast. I show you how you could do it yourself. I show you how you're capable of just pumping out paintings and then getting it out there into the market. So I'm excited. We're back for another stream. I got the paint ready right here. I got the computer ready. I got everything ready to go. I got our topics ready. Today's going to be a really good topic. Today's topic is really close to my heart. I mean, all the topics that we discuss, right, is obviously close to my heart because you can see how passionate I get about all of them, right? Like, I get into it. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But this one is going to be really close to home because I'm always transparent and honest about my journey, about where I've been. And I've had 77 different jobs in my life. Like, I'm unemployable. I thought it was me all these years. Well, actually, it is me. It is me. Or maybe it's the job. It's the job. So that's what we're that's the foundation of what we're going to be talking about today. It's not you, it's the job. It's set up this way on purpose to rob from you, to steal from you. It's already robbed too much of your time away from you. And now this is the way how you can start earning the time back by having some ownership of your life, ownership of the things that you do, and have some of the time come back to you. So we're going to be discussing that today. I'm really excited about the topic to see where it goes because I know I'm probably going to go off some tangents about it because, hey, I have so much experience when it comes to talking about the job market, when it comes to corporate America, when it comes to 9 to 5, when it comes to the reality of why it's set up in the place that it's set up and why it is the way that it is. All right. And that's why it's also so addicting for you when you paint and when you bring something back home to yourself because you know that you feel like you have some ownership of your life for the first time. You have some ownership of the things that you're doing and you know that you can scale it. You know, one of my favorite quotes is that nobody pays you like you pay yourself. And I rather earn $20 that I've earned. I rather make $20 that I've earned than somebody give me a salary for $200,000. It means more. All right. So let me see who we have here. All right, we got Nancy here, we got Lee here, we got Sarah here, we got Sean. Hey, what's going on, man? We got Sarah, we got Misty. All right, we got more people than yesterday. That's cool. So that way we're gonna have some fun today. You know, I always have fun when it comes to paintings, and then I always have to keep in my mind when it comes to paintings. I have to keep in my mind Corbellic. Let's show them how it's done. All right, let's show them how let's show them how it's done because I know that there's a lot of people out there. Even if you're new or if you haven't painted before, look, you can do this. Anyone could do this. There's a lot of members that's inside of the community that's never painted before. They're doing a phenomenal job. They have beautiful paintings. They're making money. They're scaling. They're doing it for themselves. So even if you don't have experience and you never painted before, if you're part of the community, you could just see so many people in there who haven't painted before, and look how they've been able to evolve and grow just by them doing the work and showing up and working the time. You naturally become better. All right. So that's the thing that I always talk about. This is not an art show. There's too many of those already where people are trying to show you how to paint, and I'm not one of those because then it just becomes too analytical and it's not fun. You feel like you're doing homework. We're already creative as kids. I mean, it's just the work is already there. So let's get into it right now. Let's knock this out. Let me show you how we get done with the work real easy and how you could do it too, where you could just drop no ego. I don't really have anything too planned out when I come into here. I have my reference page, but it's like, whatever it is, whatever it is. I don't care. And you need to say that to yourself too. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. The first painting that we're going to have is going to be a penguin. It's going to be a beautiful penguin. Why not? Why wouldn't it be a penguin? And on the background a little bit, I guess let me start off with like maybe a light blue at the top and then a dark kind of blue at the bottom, maybe. Maybe I'll do something like that. So let's do our sky. Let's do a little bit of a darker blue at the top. And then some cyan down here. I also want to give a shout out to all the other artists experience, either if you're new and I look at your work. You've been putting in the work. So I wanted to give a shout out to everybody out there who's been doing the work, who's been showing up, who's been consistent, who's been making the quantities, all right, instead of focusing on the Mona Lisas. You've been doing a phenomenal job. Your artwork is beautiful. And I just wanted to remind you about that, okay? That I see you. I see you making the progress. I see you doing the work. And there's no going back, right? That's what we say. There's no going back. We burn the ships. And when we say that we burn the ships, a lot of times what I'm talking about, at least for me, I'm talking about I burn the ships where I can't go back to corporate America. I'm unemployable. There is no going back. Hey, Treasure Maze. Happy to have you here. So that's what I'm talking about a lot of times when I'm like, there's no going back. I'm saying there's no going back for me for corporate America. I can't go back to 9 to 5. I'm unemployable. Now, even though I've had that, now, how much of a trip is that, right? I've had 77 different jobs in my life. Most of them are all like, I'm a finance analyst, SAP, software, AS400, Oracle, procurement, buyer, accounts receivable, all of these different things, right? And I've had so many different years of experience, but yet I'm unemployable now because even if I wanted to go into the job market, I've been out of the job market for so long, for 7 years, where they would look at my resume and they would go, well, what have you been doing for the 7 years? Do you think corporate America jobs, they want to hear from you? Well, I've been out of corporate America for 7 to 8 years because I've been running my own successful business. Oh, I've been doing e-commerce and I've been you know, making more money than here. You think they want to hear that? No, they don't want to hear it. You won't get hired. All right, so then what else do you say to lie a little bit, but also make it seem like you were doing something productive? Because really, they don't want to see that you have experience or whatever. They already know you have experience. What they want to see is that you were part of the program. Are you a cog in the matrix? Were you in the system? Are you still capable of being programmed? If you're out of the matrix for too long and you tasted too much of freedom, you're a liability. Oh, we're going to have a good conversation today, man. We are going to get deep. We are going to get deep on this. I mean, this topic. This topic is one of the reasons why I started my new community months ago, which is very similar in the things of what we do, but also very different because it's more so for people who are tired of corporate America and they want to figure out how to do their own business or their own avenue or find their own tribe. And it doesn't have to be eBay. It doesn't have to be art. I mean, eBay art is what we do, but this is something that I've wanted ever since I was younger. And I wish this was something that I did have when I was younger, which is a business builder. Something, because there's so many times where you're smart at something, but you have something in the back of your mind like, how do I get started? How do I do it? What am I really, really good at? Like, how do I monetize it? How do I figure this out? And I spent I spent like 6 months, 7 months with building up a code, an AI code that's mine, that I own it, and it's based off of all the information of everything that I've done in my businesses to make me successful over the past 2 to 3 years, all the coding that I've used with AI during that time, I implemented into my own AI to extract the information from you. So you don't have to think too much and it knows what to do. It knows okay, this is what you need to do next. I would have gave anything if I had something like this when I was younger. Because corporate America, they want to see that you're still programmable. So I always say that like the ships are burned. I can't go backwards because no, I'm unhireable. Nobody's gonna hire me even if I had an emergency. So that's another thing of why I had to work so hard, right? Like some people might think that I had to work so hard and I sold all these paintings out of greed or out of like determination, which is kind of true too, because I understand how the world works, right? Nobody respects you unless you have money. Let's be real. And but a main point is that I don't have anything to turn back to. I have to make this work. I have to sell these paintings because I'm unemployable. No one's going to hire me because I'm because I can't do it. I can't go back to being in that slave mindset. But B, I've been out of the workforce for a while and they like to hire people who are like, either if you're one of those people like who are educated, I'm educated and I'm in debt, so I need this job. They love those type of people because you've been programmed by the universities that the corporate America is a good thing for you. You know, you get a college degree. In 2026, you get a college degree. And then you fill out a job application for 100 places. 5 of them call you in for a job interview. And 1 makes an offer. You didn't choose what company you're going to be a slave for. And then you're just hoping and praying that whatever company you work for at that point is just good enough that you can work enough up the ladder. But there is no more ladder. Those ladders are gone. There is no guarantee in that. It's more riskier now in 2026 to have a corporate job, especially out of college, than it is for you to have your own business. They know that they can program you. So if they see, oh, wow, hold on. What do you mean you've been, like, what do you tell them? So if I tried to go back into corporate America right now, I would have to say something to them along the lines just to make it seem like I still had experience or that I'm still employable. I would have to say something along the lines like, well, over the past 7 years, I've been running my own e-commerce business, but I've still been keeping up with the trades of procurement, and I've been using SAP in my business. Now that's a lie, but I would have to say it. I would have to say that I'm still using these softwares because they think that, like, you know, that's the funny thing about corporate America too, is like any job that you have, they still have to train you of how to utilize their system. It doesn't matter what the system is and how many years you had experience with it at a different company. They still have to teach you of how they utilize it. And I used to always make the joke that if you tried to get a job in corporate America and you're at the interview and they say, hey, you know, why do you need this job? Or what are you planning to get from it? Why do you want to work here? And you're like, oh, well, actually, I have my own business on the side and it's successful right now. So it's just something that I want to do. You know, I just want to help this company out or whatever. They're not going to hire you. And we all know it. Nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about this. Now why nobody talks about this? Because they understand that we have a serious problem. We have a serious problem. Nobody talks about this. The real reason of corporate America is to keep you a slave and to keep you broke. How come no one is going to hire you if you say to yourself that you're doing the American dream of what you're supposed to be doing and you run your own business or you have your own company or you're an entrepreneur? How come being an entrepreneur is frowned on? Don't let them lie to you. Being an entrepreneur is frowned on. It's frowned on in society. You're the black sheep. How dare you free yourself? Even your friends and family deep down inside, they're like, when you're starting off, how dare you be an entrepreneur? What do you mean you're freeing yourself? That's dumb. That's risky. Don't you want to have your life insurance? They always say this dumb stuff that don't even make any sense. Why in the hell would I pay life insurance? Why in the hell would I pay health insurance and all this stuff, thousands of dollars a month for something that won't happen or something that I got to get a checkup on once a year or so? By that time, I might as well keep my own money, not pay you. And then when I need to go once or twice a year or if an emergency, I already had the bankroll cash for it. I got more money. I got more money for it. Wealthy people and rich people don't have health insurance. That's stupid. That's stuff to keep you at a job. Those days is over with. That's so dumb. Now, car insurance, yes, we have to pay. We're forced to pay that. But by law, I don't have to pay in health insurance. I could pay for it out of pocket. Or I could keep my own money, and then when the emergency comes, I have enough money to front it. It's not as much as people think that it is and how they try to come off of what it is. At least it's not worth enough for me to get a job, like a day job for it. I mean, they tried to, like how how car insurance is, where it's like you have to have car insurance. They tried to do the same thing when it comes to health insurance, when it comes to healthcare. They tried to do that with ACH. And then if you didn't pay the ACH, then premium still went up, but if you didn't pay, you was going to get penalized with tax when they said that you weren't. That's what made insurance companies like so rich over the past 10 years. But your 9 to 5 job is the most expensive habit you'll have. And they're so good. The whole thing is in a whole system. Everything is built up in a whole system of your 9 to 5. The 9 to 5 is programmed the 9 to 5 is programmed with your elementary school, your middle school, your high school. It's definitely programmed in with the institution of the college. It's programmed in with your banking. These things it's a brainwash. So it's hard for people to understand when you want to free yourself and when you're getting out of it. All of these things tie in together to make sure that you're part of the corporate cog and that you're a slave of their system. And how dare you free yourself? The day that you free yourself, they're going to try to penalize you. You can't come back. You're blacklisted. You're blacklisted. The moment that they found out that you freed yourself, you're blacklisted. There's no way we're not going to let you come back here. You tried to free yourself. Banks love when you're part of that system, because then they're like, hey, yeah, we'll give you a 30-year loan. We'll give you a 30-year loan on a mortgage. Because they know you're going to stay at this cog of a job. And jobs really love when you're in those situations too, when they hear that you either have a newborn baby, you have a new car that you're paying that you leased, or that you have a mortgage, because you're not going anywhere. You need us. And then if you don't, we'll remind you in a nice way of how you need us. An 18-year-old kid, an 18 and 19-year-old kid, he can't go to a bank and get a business loan for a great business idea in 2026. Hey, I tapped into AI. AI programmed these things for me, where I have this structure. This is my least risk assessment I can provide for you, bank. Can you give me a loan for $10,000 or so? Bank is going to say, no, we're not going to give you any loan. But to that 18, 19-year-old, the bank is going to say, they're going to say, yeah, we're going to sign on this dotted line, and we're going to give you a college degree that you'll be a slave to after you get done for $100,000, right? You can't get a business loan to free yourself, but you could get something that you could never bankrupt from, because you can't bankrupt from student loan. And then if you have friends and family, they always want to get you. We call it get you back on the plantation. They always want to get you back on the plantation. If you want to free yourself, if you go, well, I'm thinking of doing my own business and I'm thinking of going away from corporate America, they come up with all these doom and these doom scenarios. Oh my God, but what about your health insurance? Just they say dumb stuff that broke people say and they don't even realize it. What about, but you're going to need this. You're going to need that. They put up all these scenarios to keep you in there. How dare you want to free yourself? But what if this happens? What if that happens? You don't want to do that. That's very risky. And it's because it's all programmed. It's all programmed ever since we were kids, though. When we're kids, we're taught that you're supposed to have when you grow up, you got to go to college, and you're going to live the American dream, and you're going to have a good job, and we all know at our age that stuff is not true. Now, maybe that stuff was true in the 80s, but we're in 2026. That is not true. And that's why you have so many people who feel so disenfranchised right now, is because they were sold this American dream, and they were sold this American dream by their old parents who don't even know any better. And it's not the reality. They do all this stuff of what they were told to do. They don't get the American dream, and then they feel disenfranchised that they can't afford a mortgage. They can't afford anything. But then if they do get a mortgage anyways, it's not even worth it. And they're stuck in a situation, and they're stuck at a job that they thought they were supposed to be having. They thought that they were going to be happy, and they're not happy. The only people who they were trying to make happy was their parents, that they went to school and that they did all this stuff. But then when they do it, now you're stuck in a system. And then they're happy when you're stuck in these systems, it's all programmed, because once you're stuck in it, they know that they got you at this miserable job. And they could just talk to you reckless. They could just like treat you whatever. You hate going to your job. You hate commuting there, but you know you have to, because you're like, who's going to pay my bills? You're thinking about things that don't even make that. You're thinking about things that don't even make, that don't even push the needle. You have no ownership of it in your life. It doesn't mean anything. Before you know it, you'll be dead. If you're not already dead. There's a quote that says that I forget what the quote is. I'm probably butchered. I'm pretty sure one of you would know it better than me. But there's some people out there who's already dead at 30 or 25. They just don't know it yet. They just have to wait years until their body dies, because you're already dead. You're already dead at a job you hate, a mortgage you don't like, a wife or a husband that you don't even like anymore. Look at that penguin. Isn't that nice? Isn't that beautiful? People love penguins. They're nice. And we got through it really quick. All right. That was fun. Oh, let me get some more parchment paper. I could talk about this. I could talk about this. I could talk about this issue for hours every single day of my life. The reason why, like, what's funny? You guys think I painted a lot or I sold a lot? Like, oh, I sold 18,000. That ain't nothing in comparison to like the experience and the hours that I have when it comes to corporate America. I had 77 different corporate jobs. Like, I could talk about this stuff nonstop. I could talk about more of this than anything, and how they condition you to be broke. Maybe that's why I'm so successful. It is why I'm so successful, because I took a lot of the experiences that I've had, but also the passion from it to do what I have to do. And it's not even just about eBay. Even if it wasn't eBay, it could have been something else. All right. It could have been something else that I would have found my lane to get out of that from. And you have to do that for yourself, or nobody else is going to do it, because nobody's going to save you. All right. On to the next painting. Where is it? Did I exit out of it? Oh, I feel like I did. On to the next painting. Where is it? Okay, here we go. All right, let's see some of the comments real quick before I get on to the next painting. See if we have any super chats in here. All right, no super chats. On to the next painting. Boom. So that's why I say that your 9 to 5 is going to be your most expensive habit. And it's your habit because we were all conditioned as kids to have this habit, or life was going to be doomed, or we're losers if we don't fall into it. These things are all lies. We're still losers anyways. Jobs create the illusion of security while they cap your income. Your income is capped to a certain dollar amount of what they give you, but they're only paying you that so you can forget about your dreams. How old were you when you came to the realization that companies don't necessarily need you there? They don't necessarily even need you. They're just keeping you there so they can have their quota for the commercial leasing property that they had. And also they can keep you occupied with not fulfilling your dream or fulfilling the real American dream. The real American dream is that you're supposed to be an entrepreneur. You're supposed to be your own boss. You're not anybody's boss when you're at a company. Like I said at the beginning of this video, nobody pays you like you pay yourself. When I heard that quote when I was younger, it made so much sense. I only needed to hear it once and it made sense to me. Because what it means is that what it means is that if I earn myself $20 with my hands, my business, my brain, I know how to make $20 and I can flip it up. I know how to flip it up. I can scale it up. That's true capitalism. Your corporate job is against capitalism. And they're liars because they act like they are. The only time that they are for capitalism is to keep you as a slave at your job while they profit off of your efforts. But they're against capitalism. Now, when you earn $20 for yourself, that's true capitalism. Because you can scale it up. You know what to do. If I can make $20, then I can calculate in my mind, what do I need to do to make $20,000? Then what do I need to do to make $200,000? Then what do I need to do to make $2 million? I can scale it up. It doesn't matter how hard you work in corporate America, you cannot scale up what they're capping you off of your salary. So that's the thing that always trips me out, is that if I tell you that you need to paint 1,000 paintings, 100 paintings, or whatever, it's easier for you to make an excuse why you don't want to make a painting, but you wouldn't go to your job that's capping you at a dollar amount, and you wouldn't complain to them when they're telling you that they need 1,000 reports. You would do it, and they're not paying you for that. But you could have ownership of something that you're bringing back to yourself, and there's people who don't want to do it, or you want to make excuses. It always trips me out. Most people who have corporate jobs, they have no problem at all doing the mundane of whatever their job is asking them to do at their salary cap. But yet you can have your own ownership with eBay, and you can bring things back to yourself where you can scale it and people don't want to do it. They make excuses of why they don't want to do it. For me, it was a no-brainer. And maybe it was a no-brainer because I've worked so many different corporate jobs and I just prayed to God for the opportunity to have something where I had ownership of my own. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't care what it was. Whatever it was going to be, I was going to own it, take responsibility for it, and do the best of my ability and not complain. And enjoy, be thankful for the opportunity. This is the thing, like I say it, and it's such a big deal with me when I say to you, either if it comes to eBay or business, that they've already taken so much time from you. Why do you keep letting them take more time from you? When you work a corporate job, you're trading time for money. And that keeps people stuck financially. You'll never be able to grow. Think about this. When it comes to your family, when it comes to your cousins, when it comes to people who you know from Facebook or your high school, how come there's more regular broke people who are living check to check than there are people who are financially free? You think that's by coincidence? That's by design. Most people work most people work with most people are trading time for money. Instead of figuring out a ways where you can have some ownership over the things that you do and have a form of passive income. One product online that you create, it can easily outperform a month of wages at a job. It was a no-brainer for me to quit my corporate job. I mean, I always wanted to quit anyway, so I was just looking for the first sign of proof. Once I saw the first sign of proof from eBay and how I could scale it, it was a no-brainer for me to quit. I couldn't even focus on my job. And I'm not the type of person where I know I can't serve two masters. So I knew once I was making money in eBay, I couldn't I work my job. I remember I tried to give a 2 weeks notice, but they noticed that I wasn't there. And at this time it was remote work, so it wasn't like I wasn't there physically. They noticed that I wasn't there working the job. I wasn't working the job. Like I wasn't answering certain emails. I wasn't responding on time. I wasn't working certain client things that I was supposed to be doing. Why? Because I already knew that I was making money on eBay and I needed to focus on my eBay store. This is something that I wanted for a long time, to make money from my art. And I finally found out a way that I could make money from my art and not have to deal with the Instagram or the gallery, or like, it was up to me at this point. I prayed to God for years to have the opportunity to have something where, as long as it was based on my effort, then I can make money. Because a job is not that. That's why I say Corporate jobs and 9 to 5s, they're not real capitalism. At least for you, it's not, because based off of your effort, off of your strength, you're not earning whatever your effort is. I mean, there was times me being in procurement, right, where my job was to try to find more ways to make more money than the previous fiscal or the previous quarter. And I remember there would be times where we would save the company money by $5 million or something like that. Do you think the company ever shared any of that money with me? No, they haven't. Now, like, should they have? I mean, maybe a certain percentage it would have been right, but I understand it. That's also corporate America. I signed up for that game, so I can't complain about it. That is the name of the game. You can't complain about it. They give you a nice ribbon. They give you a pat on the back. Oh, you're good. They give you an announcement to other departments or something like that. But that's all you get. I wanted something that I could bring home to myself, that I had ownership for. So as soon as I saw that I was making money, I was out. And the thing that helped me realize is once I had the product that was making more, once I remember my first realization is I was making more money in a week than I was in a month. When that happened, as soon as that happened, and at this time, I didn't have none of the structure in place like you guys do. I didn't have none of the structure in place. I didn't have like my schedule. I wasn't working the 90 minutes. I didn't have a lot of the stuff of what you know that's already built in the elite. I didn't have none of it, but I was hustling it. But what I did have, I already had inventory from the days of me doing all the gallery art stuff, and none of it was selling. So I already had inventory that was ready to go. Like I had hundreds of pieces of art, and I had hundreds of pieces of smaller art that was 14 by 11, 12 by 16 and stuff like that. Because prior to me doing eBay, this is a funny story. Um, I genuinely was about to do street hustling. I mean, like for art, right? So what I was going to do is like in LA when they had events, because at this time, this was before the pandemic. So LA was still had a little bit of life to it. In comparison to now, all the businesses are closed. There's no life here. But at the time, they still had a little bit of life to it. So they still had galleries. So what I was going to do is at the biggest galleries where they had these performative artists and this crap art, I was going to have me and my assistant where we had crates of original artwork that I painted, and they were on 12 by 16s, and they were in plastic sleeves so people could see what they look like. They're protected. And I was going to sell each one for $100 outside the gallery event, like have a table set up and all that. I was going to do it like that. That's how hungry and thirsty I was for the opportunity. But then pandemic hit, and then I went hard into selling art on eBay, and then I didn't have to do that. But once I saw that I was able to make at least at least when I saw that I was able to make at least a weekly salary of what my normal job is, or what I was making in a week from eBay, and that was like as much as I made in a month for my job, then there was no going back. What was the purpose of it? I need to go full time into eBay. So another thing that could happen when it comes to your 9 to 5 is your predictable paycheck. It will destroy ambition because every single week or bi-weekly you're getting the same paycheck. You're getting the same paycheck. You know, it's just static. It's the same thing, and it's going to destroy any kind of hustle that's inside of you. You get comfortable with just that same static paycheck, but it's just the same static paycheck, where, There's not anything more or less. It's such a great feeling where you can have something where I can control it off of my effort. What? Only thing I got to do is show up. So you're telling me, fine. I think that's what got me. It's so eBay is addicting. That's why I've been doing it for so long. Because the only thing I got to do, like if there was times where maybe my numbers was off, maybe I took a vacation, maybe I'm off. I know in the back of my mind, oh, you mean tell me only thing I got to do is show up to the studio and I got to produce 100 paintings, or I got to produce this number of paintings, and I know I'm going to get my numbers. I know I'm going to get paid. Or the downfall of that too, being an entrepreneur, where some people don't like and they're not used to, is it's up to you. So really, if you're not being disciplined and maybe you didn't produce like you should have and you didn't have a calendar, then your numbers is off. But the numbers is off. It's based off of you. Corporate America, yeah, they're going to keep you a cog of the system and they're going to pay you, but at least a lot of people are so comfortable with that because they're like, well, at least I still get paid if I'm slacking off, if I'm on the internet or whatever. With eBay, you can't slack off. You got to work because it's a reflection of your money. It's a reflection of you. Your money in eBay is a reflection of your hustle. And a lot of people aren't used to that because they've been in corporate America for so long. But it's riskier having a 9 to 5. If you're new here or if you just came in, make sure y'all leave a like on the video. Let YouTube know that we're having a good conversation here. Or if you enjoy the conversation that we're having, leave a like on the comment or leave a like on the video, please. Let the algo know what's going on. I appreciate you. When I was getting those predictable paychecks, you know what I got in the habit of doing is I knew I had to reward myself for the feeling of what I felt at my job. Because, I mean, when you're working a job, you're not doing anything that's really important. And it's not difficult stuff, to be honest. Most of the time, they did a study on this. Like, most of the day, you're not working all the time when it comes to your corporate America job. A lot of times you're on the internet, you're on your phone, you're taking a bathroom break, you're taking a coffee break, you're politicking with your coworker. You're in a meeting that has nothing to do with anything. That's a waste of time. You're not working all the time in your corporate job. And if you're someone who's like, think about what you could be doing with that time if you were actually like had your own business or you're doing something that you could control. You could be way more productive. You could be making $1 million. You could be making $1 million. So what I used to do when I used to get these predictable paychecks is that I felt like I needed to go out on the weekend and spend it. A lot of times people are living check to check, not just because they're bad with money, which people are, but also is because they feel like they have to compensate for the time of the mundane of what they were doing on their 9 to 5. Well, if I was doing this 9 to 5 and they're giving me a check, I must have to spend something with it. So what I was doing, I would do things like buy expensive clothes or always go out to eat. I would do certain things on the weekend where I had to spend at least half of my money to make me feel better for me having to go right back to the system on Monday through Friday. So I had to do things where it was rewarding for myself. Well, I'm getting paid to be a slave. I might as well do something with the wages that they're giving me, right? Like the winnings. And I would do stuff like that. And then you don't realize it that you're spending the money to make you feel better of the predictable paycheck while you could be doing something for yourself and bringing something back home. All right, here's our bear right there. Check out our bear. Isn't that cool? That's a nice, cool little bear right there. Impressionism bear. He's ready to go out there and maul someone. All right, on to the next painting. Let's see what we have here. All right, nice buffalo. But you know what? Maturing, I'm gonna tell you something. Maturing is coming to the realization that I can't be mad at corporate America for corporate America being corporate America or the 9 to 5 or whatever it is. I'm mad at myself because I take responsibility for the actions of the things that I signed up for. And I signed up for the responsibility of the brainwashing that I was under or the laziness that I was under. And there's different avenues of different things. But also I feel like I was in such a mixture of generations where we come from the time where we didn't have internet to the generation of where we do have internet and everybody has an iPhone and accessibility on their phone. Like I come from a generation where we had to walk to the library to get a job and look at the classifieds and things like that. So it's a little bit different compared to the hustle now, where I'm still young enough now to understand how to utilize technology, AI or whatever, but still had the memory of when we didn't have it and the work ethic that comes along with that. But I can't be mad at the institutions. I take responsibility. I take responsibility for everything. That's usually my personality though. My personality has always been somewhat like that, where I take responsibility of everything good or bad. Everything begins and ends with me. Now, on our next subject, how I made more money selling paintings online than having a college degree. I don't have a college degree. I tried the whole school thing and I just found it boring personally. But I was never into school either growing up. And you know, as parents, they always try to make your, kids, hey, do the I just didn't. I just knew in my heart that I didn't. I wasn't into that whole idea of the American dream, corporate America thing. It just felt like such a lie. And maybe because growing up, I seen my parents with the corporate America dream kind of thing, and it just seemed like such a miserable life of a lie. Like these are things that would not make me happy. So why would I want to like? I wanted to get out of school, and you're telling me I got to go right back to school to and then once you get done with school, then you got to go back. Corporate America is another form of school. You're just going to adult school. You're going to an adult babysitter. How come people don't talk about that? Corporate America 9 to 5 is adult school. And then the crazy thing is, I've been working ever since I was 14, 15. When I was 16, as soon as I turned 16, I was doing corporate collections for Discover Card or American Express, one of them. So I was always able to get my foot up by just having finance experience early. And I was blessed enough to have good jobs just off of me having experience, but not necessarily a degree. But also I come from a generation where, in the early 2000s, it was heavily frowned upon if you didn't have a degree, even if you did have experience. It was kind of a catch-22, weird thing. And in my jobs that I've had, that I was blessed to have, I was always working with individuals who went to school. They got degrees for business. They got degrees for business management. They got master's degrees in business. And here we're working together where I'm making the same amount of money you're making. I didn't have the passion to finish school, go to school again. Like I wanted to make money. I didn't want to sit around in college, especially as a young man. As a young man, you want things. You want things quick. And I didn't want to sit around waiting for, I want to make money now. What are you telling me I got to learn more about this, the Spanish and the how they conquered and all, and I got to do all this out like algebra stuff and all this stuff they teach you is so outdated. I can't even imagine how dumb it is now. Like unless you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, of course, right? But when you look at the data, that's very few. I think it's only something like 7%, you know, something like the rest who go to these institutions, they go for business management and whatever, just to make money. But the very few is like 7% who are actually engineers, doctors, lawyers. That's fine. But the rest of it is like, why am I in the day and age where there's AI and everything else? Why am I learning? When have I have ever had to use any of this trigonometry and um, I've had so many different jobs and I never had to use any of the stuff of what we learned in college. And then it's all outdated too by people who haven't even used it themselves. Because what do they say? Teachers teach. Teachers teach when they can't. Four years of school being broke compared to learning a profitable skill or just painting when anybody could do it. Just pick up, I could pick up a projector for $50 and keep painting, or I can wait around and go to school for 4 to 5 years just so that hopefully a company will call me, and then I don't know what company's going to call me, and I'm going to be broke and I got bills to pay. And then the thing that's so crazy is nowadays, by the time that you already graduated college, you're already so broke and malnourished that you're desperate for any company. It could be the worst company, but you'll take it and you'll take that paycheck and you'll feel like you have to work there forever. And you don't even know enough. Maybe you don't even have, most of these kids nowadays who graduate, they don't even have enough work experience to know if it's a good company or a bad company. Most of them are bad companies that treat you like crap. And you don't even know that. So you're here and they're taking advantage of you and you're working for a bad company because you don't know any better. And you're so malnourished from all the years of not working. You want a new car, you're in debt. You got people in your family, you got people in your family who never went to college or they don't know anything about success. So they think that all of a sudden if you go to college, that means that it's the 70s or the 80s and you're going to be a millionaire. So then they think as soon as you do that, like all of a sudden, like you're well off or something, and they don't understand that you're broke. You could have just been out in the workforce or purchased yourself a $50 projector and got to work. I'd rather do that. I'd make the money, then figure it out. Start my own business. It's less riskier, especially in 2026. A job nowadays, they can fire you any moment. They can fire you any quarter. And then when they fire you or get rid of you, they call it restructuring. Restructuring always just meant that they had to see. I worked in procurement and finance, so restructuring just really meant that they had to meet their quota or they had to make their budget. So instead, when they didn't meet it, they just they would fire a department or they would fire a department, but instead of calling it firing a department or laying off, they would call it restructuring. That's what they call it now. They call it restructuring. And that just means that they missed their quotas or they missed their numbers and they don't want to report it too badly on their stockholders. So instead they do that so they could try to compensate for the money they lost. And that can happen to anybody. That happens to most companies now. And the reason why is because it's just cheaper to hire a AI developer to program the things that you needed to program. 20 some years ago, or even 10 years ago, there used to be certain programs where how to do certain data entry or how to do certain reporting on books. But you have AI doing that in 30 seconds now. And any kid could teach a company how to do it. I mean, there's kids out there now who are making $1 million by selling SAS software, which is called a software as a service, and they're selling it B2B, which is business to business, to these companies, so that way they can just have it do what a whole department used to do. Why would they keep you? So that's why I'm saying nowadays, if you do still work for a company and there's still a department where y'all are really just doing grunt work, your job's not protected, but also they're purposely keeping you there as a slave when they know that they can actually do these other things and just hire AI to do what you're doing. So it's one of those things. Even if you fail nowadays, even if you fail in business, you can't fail because you'll be learning so much about a business structure, about how not to fail. It's kind of like the old quote of what Thomas Edison used to say, where they would ask him how many times has he learned to build a light bulb, or how many times did he fail to do a light bulb or something like that, and he said he failed 1,000 times, or he learned 1,000. He said no, how many times did it fail or something? He said I didn't fail 1,000 times at creating a light bulb. I learned 1,000 different times or different ways of how to make the right light bulb. And that's how I look at business as well too. But it's even more so now, where you're not even really failing. You're learning, starting your own business now, or even doing eBay. You're learning faster than anybody else who's in college nowadays, because you're actually applying actualities in real business structure. You're getting real time data. Everybody else is getting theory. When they go to their professor, when they're in college, they're getting theory. Like, there's always that part of student debt versus a micro business. Even if you have a failed business, you'll be better off with a failed business than you would coming out in debt. And when you're coming out in debt, you're trying to work for corporate America. That's so ass backwards. That's bad parenting for people who even teach their kids that. And they're only doing it because that's what the TV and the magazines told them to do from 30, 40 years ago. Like, we live in the same world. We don't. And then they wonder why, when their kids get a little bit older, that they resent their parents, and because their parents gave them bad advice to set them up on a life of no financial freedom, but no freedom at all. Like, you put me back into the same dumb, how did you know all these years that this was a slave system that you've been a part of, and you didn't tell me that? You tried to sell me these dreams that this was something magical, and it's not. I can't afford anything. And then when it comes to creative skills, they're undervalued in the traditional education. Or they try to. That's why they always say things like, "Oh, you're a starving artist, or you're going to be a starving artist." But nowadays, like, if you think of it, the people who did everything right, they got straight A's, they went to school, and they did all the stuff that they were told to do in society. You're a starving worker. How about that? I'm not a starving artist. I'm a business. But you, on the other hand, you're like everybody else. There's so many people like you in the world. You're a starving worker. You're starving in corporate America. There's so many people who I went to school with, and they used to always get such good grades, and they did everything their parents told them to do. They did everything right, societies told them to do. They got valedictorian, they got all this stuff. They went to the college, and then they went back, and then they did what society also told them to do, and they went into corporate America like good little cogs. And then they're miserable, but then they're ashamed that they're miserable until years later that they can't tell anybody because they're supposed to have the perception of what happiness is. A lot of times depression really comes from like corporate America, where people are supposed to be happy in these things that they were programmed ever since they were kids to be happy, but then they feel like they don't have a voice, or they don't have someone to talk to about that would understand. See, that's where Corbellic comes in, because I understand. But a lot of times in America, depression and people who work, it comes from where they feel like they can't explain to people that I'm not happy working. I'm not happy where I have this goal, or I achieved this thing that people told me to achieve for years, and I have it, and I don't have nobody to talk to about it, because everybody who I talk to about it, they're still under the brainwash themselves where you're supposed to be happy. That's why rich people a lot of them get suicidal and they get depressed, because they have no one to talk to, where it's like, I'm not feeling good where I have this thing that people told me to have to achieve, but who do I talk to about it? Because anybody who I talk to about it, they're going to say, but you're rich. And the cool thing about the internet and having your own business, it rewards output, not credentials. It doesn't care about how many straight A's that you got in school. Let me see what the comments are saying. Is my comments working? Are y'all dead? Y'all okay? Is anything that I'm saying making sense to you? Leave me a 5 in the comments. It- or at least let me know. No, it doesn't make sense. I love my corporate job, Corbellic. These things are. This is just tell me this is just my personal experience. Then that's cool. Tell me I'm lying, and that corporate America tied in with the college institution is a great thing. Everybody comes out a millionaire, and you're so happy. And then it's crazy because when I look back on these, when I look back, I feel bad for some of these people who I went to school with or whatever, and they did everything right. Or even people who I had as coworkers, right? Because me, I was blessed to have these positions just based off of my experience, but also just knowing how to interview and present myself. And when I would work with these people who I knew they had college debt and I didn't have college debt, or they had all these other big bills that they were told to have. They were conditioned ever since they were younger to have these certain bills in their life in order to look successful and be successful. And I knew I didn't have it because I didn't want to be tied into it. I feel bad for them because I'm like, how do you survive? Like, we're making the same amount of money. How do you survive? And I even think about that even more so now, where it's like things are so expensive. How do you survive if you don't have an additional job or an additional form of income or bring something back home to yourself? I just don't get it. It's so risky in 2026 to like work for a company still and not have an additional income where you can have where there's no scale on it. How do you do it? How do people do it? I always say that to myself too, especially when I go shopping or maybe there's something like I get like go to Costco and I'm like I feel bad because how like this is my passion to make people make money because how are people supposed to survive out here if not? And when it comes back to what we were talking about, where it's like student debt versus starting your own business, go to a bank at 18, 19 years old and tell them that you just want a $10,000 loan for a business idea. They're going to tell you no way. But then ask them for a loan for $100,000 so you can go to college, and they're going to be like, oh, yeah, here you go. Sign on this dotted line because they know you can't bankrupt from it. And you're going to be working one of those corporate jobs. They understand the math is statistically against you to be successful. They know statistically that you're going to be at that corporate job and you're going to be paying interest on any of the loans that they give you for the next 30, 40 years. By then, you're too old to do anything about it, or you have health issues or anything else. They know it's too late. That's why I say they already robbed enough time from us. Don't let them take any more time from you. Start today. You don't have to have everything figured out. All right, there's my buffalo right there, right? Quick impressionism buffalo. On to the next painting. All right, let's see what we have. I think I have to do now we're going to do a 12 by 16. All right. What are we going to do on this big boy? What do we want to plan out on here? Let's look in my reference book here. Let's see what we want to put on here. Leave me likes if you haven't already. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Leave me a super chat. Let me know what you think as well. Participate in the comments here on this topic of what you think about corporate America, corporate institution education, how it keeps you into the slave mentality. We're still continuing going with the topic, but let me know what you think. All right, on this one, we're going to be doing a Playboy Bugs Bunny. This is like one of my earlier paintings. Right now in 2026, we are so fortunate to be in the time where we are witnessing the internet. With the internet is the greatest wealth transfer in history. And most people ignore it. Either they ignore it or they think that we're going to go back to like 2017 or something. We're going to go back to a time before AI and before prior to COVID or something. Those days is over with. You can't put the lid back on the jar. We're not going back to a time where darn it, I shouldn't have washed this one. Now that means that I'm gonna have to do it. I should have kept this part white. Normally that's what I do. I just keep it white for the canvas since it's already there. Now I'm gonna have to actually use white paint since I already did a wash on it. I should have just did a wash on this part outside of it. Normally these are the things that I do to make paintings go by quicker. Shucks. Well, I guess in the meantime, what I can do is just make sure I put the wash more on the outside of the bunny. These are things that I do. But we are in the. I always talk about this, and I know it goes over. Some people says, "Oh, I don't think it's like most people ignore it. I think they just don't know what to do about it." But we are in a time where we are in the greatest transfer of wealth between the normies, which is the brokes or the 9 to 5, and the people who will make money. I mean, we're at a time right now where there's the internet bubble before the internet bubble, bigger than the internet bubble. A lot of times smart people, if you would say to them, hey, if you had a time machine, what would you do? What would you go back and do? Smart people always say stuff like, I would go back and invest in Microsoft. I would invest in this. They always think of things that they would invest in that was like before the internet boom. And you're at that moment now where you could be a part of the AI boom, because we are part of the AI boom. And most people ignore where they think that they're going to be working their corporate jobs forever. And you could be actually part of the largest wealth transfer, because the old days are not coming back. And no matter how much we kick and scream about it, there's nothing we could do about that. It's not coming back. It's already here. Millions and millions of buyers exist online every day, and they're looking for whatever product that you have. So whatever painting that you think that somebody might not like, or whatever style, or whatever, even a business. One of the things I talk about in my new community of the blueprint builder is that it doesn't matter whatever it is that you're into. You're not the only one on earth that's into it. Just like you're not the only collector that's into whatever you're painting. There's so many more. Every single day, there's new and new buyers that are logging into the internet. And you need to find your tribe. That's why it's like when I think of corporate America nowadays, it's like, why? There's so many people online who's willing to buy the thing that you're into. You're not the only one who's into it. You got people making millions of dollars who just built Lego sets. People who are into different flavors of popcorn. People who are into calligraphy. Like, you don't need permission from your corporate job. You don't need a resume to sell something online. That's the wealth transfer. Petit Floral says, my job keeps saying things like learn all these tools because we are just trying to help you have more time to do the work you want to do. We don't plan on getting rid of you. Just make you fat. Just make you faster. Right. They'll say all kinds of stuff like that. That's lies. Because trust me, at the end of the day, if it's between them and you, they're always going to choose them. We're not going to get that's a red flag right there when they have to reinforce. We're not going to get rid of you. I promise. I promise. Just please, just stay here. We're not going to get rid of you. Just stay here. I promise we're not going to get rid of you. Just stay. Don't ask questions. But then behind closed doors, they're talking to each other, the directors, and they're like, uh-oh, Petit Flowers, she's starting to catch on to us. She's starting to ask questions. I think she knows. Really? What makes you say that? Well, she was asking questions the other day. She's starting to get smart. She's starting to get wise. All right, well, just tell her that it's for her own good. Make her smarter and faster. That we just want to give you more time to work on the things that you want to do. They always say stuff like that. Clayton Brewer says, I watch you all the time. Big fan. I'm a big fan of you, man. I appreciate you. That really means a lot to me. But in this day and age, it doesn't matter. Like whatever you're into, you don't need permission to sell something. You can sell anything online because there's so many different buyers. Platforms like eBay, they create global storefronts overnight. People who didn't even have experience, they have their own business now from eBay. There's 144 million people with credit cards linked in on eBay, ready to purchase. Every year, eBay spends $3 billion just on their marketing. Most corporate jobs can't compete with that alone. So you're already a partner with a conglomerate that's bigger than your company. Let's see here. I have to make sure I drop our link in the chat if I haven't already for the people who are want to join and do what we do for the uninitiated. It's important. But yeah, they're professionals at lying, and they can lie to you. They can lie to you for free, and they're allowed to do it. That's why people always feel like they're backstabbed when they lose their job or something happens, because they're like, "Oh, I was caught off guard. They told me that I wasn't going to lose my job. Billy just said that last week. I had a meeting with him." What do you mean? Well, yeah, we just had to restructure the department. I hope you understand. Don't worry, we'll give you unemployment. Unemployment. And then when those moments happen, then you always think to yourself, dang, I could have been working months ago and taking care of myself and looking after me. And I could have found a different job by now. Or I could have been working eBay and I could have had my business up by now. And instead, I was I was under the brainwash by corporate America that things are going to get better. One of the things that helped me, like when I was in the transition or the mental transition of coaching, is that we're all creators. And I always say that we're meant to create something. It doesn't have to be art or it doesn't have to be eBay. We're all meant to create something. But one of the things that stuck out to me was someone said, try to you will be rewarded when you try to create and produce more than you're consuming. There's so many people out here who are big consumers. They watch more YouTube videos than anything. They watch more coaching than anything, but they're not producing. They're not creating. There's nothing wrong with learning and getting inspired, but after a while, you have to bring it back to yourself and you have to create and produce. Thank you for the super chat, Jen Jen. She says, I am good at restructuring. I enjoy my freedom. And that's the thing right there, is like the freedom is worth more than gold because you only have one life to live. And a lot of times people are so we got caught up into this whole life situation where everybody's brainwashed of how it should be, even though they know they're not happy doing it. They'll get upset and offended if you free yourself. So what I'm saying, and going back to it, is that you have to say to yourself, what did I create today? What did I create for the world? It's way more important to create more than consume. Can't always be a consumer. We have too many consumers already, and that's how you get brain dead. And when people hear consume, they're thinking of materialistic things, which can be true too. But I'm more talking about information or even TV, Netflix. You're on your phone. You're consuming so much. Could you imagine if you spent that energy or even half of that energy to producing something? It doesn't matter if it failed or whatever, because there's no such thing as perfection. But if you just spent half of that energy and you actually created, you produced, try to produce more than what you're consuming. Hey, River Life Pottery, happy to have you here. I'm trying to tell people and help people where I want you to also be a part of the wealth transfer that's happening. I want you to also be there because I feel bad for the people when the wealth transfer happens because it's happening right now. Right now, where you're not on the sidelines and you're still working a corporate job that's going to get rid of you. And you had a chance where you could have gone from it doesn't even the thing this is the crazy thing that people don't know. The thing about the greatest wealth transfer of right now is you don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars. You don't even need $1,000 to participate in it. You could participate in it for free. And where you put your investments, invest in AI, invest in crypto. I'm not a financial advisor. I am a financial advisor, but I have to say that legally. Larissa Out Loud, thank you for this super chat. Is it okay to paint Bugs Bunny and other cartoon characters? Yeah, it's okay. As long as you're not making super prints about it, like a million prints and things, and it's not the exact structure, then you're fine to do it because these are protected by these are protected by us where they're called copy um, transfer rights. So by law, we're able to do this. It's like fanfare. You'll see a lot of pop artists do it. So we're protected to do it. You're able to do this. So thank you again for the super chat. I appreciate the support. If anybody else has any other questions, leave me a super chat. Um, that's my thing. I'm protected and I'm diversified. My family is protected, but it's not enough for that. For me, I don't want I want to prevent as many people as possible to not be stuck because we're at a time where if you're going to miss this wealth transfer, then you're never going to get it again. This is the time where you're either going to be rich and you can change your family, or you're going to be broke forever. And you're going to be thinking that you missed out. Think about the people who missed out on Bitcoin just less than 10 years ago. We're at a time where now it's bigger than Bitcoin and it costs you nothing to be a part of it. Money is not going to in the next year or two, money is not going to be moved through banks how it used to. The rails have already changed because those old systems are too slow and they were corrupted and they've been exposed. I'm gonna tell you something that a lot of people don't know, or but people who do know who follow. All of that stuff that you see on TV right now, like all of that Iran war and all that, that has nothing to do with anything kinetic of war. A lot of that is smoke and mirrors and theater. It's bank wars. And it's happening right now in front of you. And people can't even see it. The rails have been moved. They're fighting tooth and nail to keep the rails in place so they can make sure that you don't get yield on your money that they inflated. But nothing can stop it because it's already in motion. Food art is popular. For sure. Food art is popular. I love doing food art. So much fun. All right, let me dry this out a little bit on the black and then write a couple things in here, make it fun, make it different, and then done with this one. All right, let me read the comments real quick. Let's see here. We have any super chats? Oh, we do. Linda Thomas. Your videos are encouraging. Thank you, Linda. That really means a lot to me. You have no idea. That really means a lot to me. Thank you so much, Linda. That's what I aim for. So sometimes like, you know, any business that you're in, look, even if you're in art, business, life, whatever, anything that you're in, it always comes in cycles where some days you feel like you're having more of an impression than others, where some days feels like, hey, maybe I had a stronger impression on my art this day. Maybe I had a stronger impression on my videos this day. It's, everything goes in ebbs and flows, and no matter what business it is. So it's always good to hear even encouraging thing like that for myself, so I can know that I am having an impression on your life, on your day, you know. Anytime you guys want to come out and, you know, tell your favorite coach that he's a phenomenal person too, then that really goes a long way in me providing the best that I can for you as well, and giving me some uplift. Sometimes you just don't know. Sometimes when I get done with a live stream or some videos, I'm like, that was a good one, or that was a bad one. I don't know. It's up to the market to decide. No matter what we do, it's always up to the market to decide. And sometimes it's always good. It's always good to hear feedback on what the market thinks, because we're biased. We don't know. Or we could also be our own worst critic and enemy in our mind to be like, today was shit. Tomorrow will be a better day. And then other people will come on and be like, you know what? That was the greatest of what you said, this, that, that. You never know. Just like with our art, you never know what resonates. But it doesn't matter as long as you keep going. Let me make a border on this one. I love my borders. Also, you know, I love my turquoise, my cyan. So let's throw some of that in here somewhere. Boom. All right, that works for me. Let me put our signature on here and go on to the next one. Boom. Huh? What up, Doc? Look at that. Playboy Bunny right there. Playboy Bunny, Bugs Bunny. Isn't that cool? Pop art. It's always fun. It's always something that you could do. It'll look good framed up. Very simple, very pop at the same time. All right, let's go on to the next painting. Let's see, what do we have? All right, let's do this one. And then go on to our next topic. Let's see. And this is going to be a last painting. So since this is going to be a last painting, let me do it a cubism. Because you know I love my cubisms. I'm just going to pick a random. All right, there we go. This is going to be a really fun, beautiful one. And I pull these up off of AI references of how I'm able to generate them in the AI system. So if you're new here, you don't know how we do this, join the community. I have everything broken down in there. So that way you don't have to try to be original and recreate the wheel, but at the same time, you will be original because I show you how AI just pulls the references for you and you could just build whatever you want off of that using your own art style, your own art proportions based off of the projector, whatever comes out of you being creative, you can do it. You're free to do it. There is no rules when it comes to art. It's all subjective. Thank you, Orange Pom Pom. That really means a lot. Very inspiring live. Thank you, Corbellic. That means a lot to me. Really means a lot to me. All right, let's get this thing going. Now, this topic is going to be based off of your 9 to 5 is making money off of you, and you're not making money. They're making money off of you. They're making money off of you in different ways. They're making money off of you off of what you provide to the company, but they're also making money off of you that you sit your slave ass down in that chair. Okay. You don't try to go out into the world. I'm telling you, some of these companies, they have like back end deals with the government to keep humans on the plantation. You sit your that's why they get write-offs, and they don't have to pay so much in taxes. It's not really about the tax thing, is that they're employing people. Well, that's what they say. Oh, well, we don't have to pay that much in taxes, and we get certain loopholes because we employ people. The whole thing about employing people is to make sure that you have able bodies that's at the daycare all day. Can't have you out into the world figuring out things for yourself. They got you sitting at the desk and being at the daycare. I used to say that employment funnels value upwards when it comes to companies. And I would see that firsthand by me working. I would see that firsthand by me working in procurement or finance. And it never mattered, even if we had a groundbreaking year the year prior, even if we made so much money more than any other year, the company would get in trouble, or you would get in trouble if somehow the company didn't make more money than that groundbreaking year the next year. It was never enough. Like, people don't understand this. When you work in finance in corporate America, you'll get in trouble, or the company will get in trouble, if you don't make more money. Even though you had a groundbreaking year the year prior or whatever, y'all have to make more money. And if not, then you get a restructuring. When you create your own products, when you create your own paintings, when you have your own business structure, it lets you profit off your own business. Like I said, the $20 is more important than a company paying me. And like I said, no matter how much money I might have saved the company or how much money that the company might have made, they're never going to share their profit percentages with you. And life is too short where it's like you're not bringing anything home to yourself. Petit Floral says the company I work for has found a way to change the book so that none of us can get our bonus for the last 3 years. They keep changing the rules. One of the things that my mother taught me when I was younger, she says, once you understand how to play their games, they always change the rule. They always change the rules of the game. Once you understand how to play the game, and once they figured out that you figured out how to play the game, or once they figured out that you figured out how the game is played, they always change the rules, and that's life. That's another reason you have to be very careful on your success, and be careful of how you talk and who you communicate with and things like that. Because once they understand that you understand, then they change the rules. You have to be very careful. These are the art of war. These things are taught in the art of war. Also, the 48 laws of power. Now, how unfortunate is that? And, it doesn't surprise me. I can't say that I'm surprised. They cook books. A lot of places cook books, especially over the past. I mean, I'm not going to say a particular year because they've always been cooking the books. Especially when you do commerce with certain countries. I don't want to say which countries, but they would stay cooking the books. That's why it's like you gotta bring it back to yourself. You gotta have ownership over it yourself. It doesn't matter about the $20. When I see people complain about low dollar amount stuff, I'm like, you haven't been initiated long enough. You're bringing something back to yourself that's more important. If you see the longer goal, you see the longer picture, the bigger picture. If you don't see the bigger picture, you'll never be successful. I tell people all the time right now that a lot of these companies aren't going to survive the AI revolution and that they're all going to be shaken out. But that's none of our concerns because they were meant to be shaken out too. It's evolution. It has to be that way. It has to be this way. And I'm not here to save them about it. A lot of times when I still keep up with the trades, and when I read about these companies going through their pains right now, I don't feel any sympathy about it because I understand how dirty they've been for decades, forever, if not ever. And now they're at a time where they're being exposed in their hand. They can't, there's no more that they could cook. It's almost similar to even the banks right now. The banks are exposed. There's no more they could cook. They can't cook anymore. And then with the AI revolution was already exposing how it's cooked. It's cooked overnight, how it's cooked and where it's cooked at. The companies that are being shaken out are meant to be shaken out. But the thing about it too is that if you're not ready for it, you could be shaken out as well. I love doing these paintings the most, to be honest with you. If it was up to me, like I sometimes I even dream about these paintings. If it was up to me, I would just do this all day. Just cubisms like this, based off of my AI references. Cause it's so freeing. I'm so like laxed and I could do what I want. It's more like an abstract cubism, impressionism thing. It's like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's happening, but I know it's happening and I know I'm here. And I know it's always going to turn out so beautiful, so beautiful. And I'm not trying to be perfect with the lines or anything like that. It's going to work out for itself in the end. I'm not worried about lines and color inside the lines, or I'm just going off of the emotion of it. That's why I'm using the big body brush. And then the cool thing is, if I do want to tighten things up, I can always tighten them up at the end, but I always try to go fast and heavy. And Fast, heavy, and big brush at the beginning when it comes to these. Using larger paintings, such as if it's a 16 by 20 or a 18 by 24, it's a different body experience compared to a 14 by 11 or 12 by 16. Some people can do it and some people can't. I understand the difference. A lot of times it's different. A lot of times it's even easier to do larger paintings. Like, I think it's easier to do larger paintings. It's kind of a skill set thing when you're doing them smaller. But with here, it's more physical in my body where I could just use the brush to go side to side. I have more. I don't have to make too many decisions, but I do at the same time. But back on track, what we were talking about. Your company is making more from your effort. Now, the difference between labor income and the difference between labor income and ownership income is, like I said, you're just a cog where you're just working, doesn't matter. And it's a trip because some people are so comfortable with your job telling you, like, imagine you, all right, let's put this in perspective. This is a good exercise. Okay, imagine you did everything right as society told you to do. They told you that you had to get straight A's, you had to go to college, you had to get a corporate job, and then they said that the corporate job that you're going to have one day after you go to college is going to be producing 1,000 canvases per week. In your mind, and then they're going to pay you a cap salary of I don't know, what is the average salary nowadays? I'm out of loop on that part. What's the average salary that people are making nowadays? What are people making? You're making what? You're making 3,000 a week. Is that what people make? So let's say they say, okay, you're going to make $3,000 a week, but every week you have to produce us 1,000 canvases. This is what you go to college for. Most people would do it, and they would say that's your cap. That's your cap salary, though. You can't make anything more or anything. That's your cap salary. Most people will just do it. But then if I tell you to do the same thing, then people have a hard problem with it, and you don't want to do it. Yeah, that's what I said too. That's what I was imagining. Yeah, about around that much petite flowers. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. About $7,000 a month. Yeah, that's about the average. Yeah, so like $3,000 a week after taxes or whatever. See, I was pretty close. I'm pretty good still. So imagine people. So people are conditioned to think to themselves, if they give you that because you're doing all the society things where you look like you have the title and whatever, 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 that's a cool thing to do, and that's fine and normal to get that amount of money. This is how I think about business success. This is just my mind, how I work. So if they're telling me that I get that amount, but it's just capped at that dollar amount, and I get more responsibilities, because they could always add more responsibilities to me, and they add more bureaucratic office crap to it. That's just crap, stuff that I don't care about, but I have to play along with it, or I'm going to keep my salary. I got to go along to some of the co-worker lunch things, and I got to go to meetings, and I got to participate. I got to wake up. I got to commute. I got to do all this. I got to wake up in the morning. I got to eat breakfast. I got to get the kids ready. I got to do all these things just so I can make $3,000 a week. Or if I say to myself, okay, what if I just did the same thing or do what Corbellic is telling me to do and on a weekly basis, and I can make that plus more, and that's not my cap? Then people got a problem with it. Isn't that a trip? I'm like, the stuff I tell you is easy and it's nothing because we're just creating. But if your job told you to bend over, like to bend backwards and to flip upside down and to do this many things, and you would do it. And then you would go home and be like, oh, honey, I'm tired. I worked all day for my company, honey. Can you pass me a beer? That's another thing that's not even on my list of topics to talk about, but corporate America will have you into a unhealthy habits. A lot of people who are in corporate America, they don't even look healthy. They don't look good. They have unhealthy habits because of corporate America. Either you eat out too much. So if you eat out too much, fast food and regular food nowadays, like lunch food, whatever that slop is, wealthy people don't eat that slop, by the way. But whatever that is, it makes you brain dead after you get back from work, and it makes you fat, and you just spend a whole bunch of money. A lot of that stuff nowadays is like the same prices of a restaurant. Just so you can spend more money and be brain dead to go back to your job. And most people in corporate America, they look like slop. Tell your coworker to come over to the Corbellic elite community, and I could free her. I could get her closer to joy. When when I first started doing my gallery art, one of the taglines that I would use in a lot of my artwork, if you ever looked at my gallery art from my Instagram page, a lot of my art, I would write slave into it. I would write slave and everything. And it wasn't because people who were uninitiated and they just wanted to be smartasses, they would be like, oh, because you're a slave. Or you think this or whatever, just because I free myself and I don't think like everybody else. So a lot of people, when I was starting off, they would challenge my ways of thinking about entrepreneurship, about life, about philosophy, right? Kind of like the topics that we talk about is kind of like different from everybody else. And they would just try to be smart as, oh, that's because you're a slave, because I don't think like them or something. Oh, and really what it was, of what I would write slave into things, is that no matter how much money we have, or no matter how many things in society that they taught us to do, we're still a slave into the machine. We're a slave somehow. And what I always strived for, but I didn't really know it or how to do it at the time, or maybe I didn't even have enough experience either, and that's probably true, is that I wanted to free people from being a slave each day at a time or each week at a time. A lot of times we're in these systems of slavery: corporate slave, love, debt, relationships, husbands, wives, whatever, family. It could be anything, where we're in these situations of slavery and we feel like we can't get free of it because there's so many of it that's compounded on each other. But if you can just take 1 week, 1 month, and write these things down nobody can see, right? And we're always scared to write down these things of goals, or certain things like that, because we're scared one day somebody's going to read our thoughts. But if we could just write these things down in a list, and just 1 month, mark it off. 1 week, mark this off, where you could get rid of it slowly but slowly, then you could find your freedom. And that's why I would write slave into a lot of my artwork. So it reminds people, just one day at a time. You can't, no matter who you are, even if you're a millionaire, billionaire, there's things out there that make you a slave every single. But if you can knock it down one day at a time, like how do you eat an elephant? One piece at a time. If you could just knock it off one piece at a time, you could free yourself. And it won't seem like such an impossible task. A lot of times it seems like such an impossible task, because it is, because they built it that way. But you can actually free yourself just one piece at a time. And I want to help people free themselves. That's my whole thing. So I always say to people who I know I might sound abrasive to, they'll be like, I'm not talking to you though. I'm talking to myself in the past. I've had 77 different jobs. I've had different businesses. I had different entrepreneur businesses that failed as well. I've sold so many different paintings. I'm talking to a previous version of myself. Why are you taking offense of me talking to myself? Or what do they say at Hit Dog Hollers? The Sweet Life. Sweet Life left the super chat in here, but didn't say a comment. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, Sweet Life. That really means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. That really goes a long way. Lets me know that we're having a good live stream today. But that's my mission, that's my goal. That's what I live for. That's my mission right now. That's what makes me happy right now. And that's another reason why I created the Corbellic blueprint, which is it's a different community, but it's built for helping. I would say I'm going to aim it more at a generation that might be a little bit younger, people who might be starting off with the idea of college, or even if they're past college, where it's like you could start your own business and not get sucked into the corporate America, or maybe not even get sucked into the whole college and debt institution, and I could save you. Because this is something that I wish that I had, which is a business builder. It can help you build your business of whatever you're into, a brand, a community, the same way how I was able to do and monetize it for yourself. This is something that I prayed to God that I wish that I had when I was a younger snapper. And if I can do that to help people make money, if I can help that to free people, that's what I live for. That's why I have the elite community. Look, there's been so many years. There's been so many years where I was making money on eBay and I was doing it in silence. I was doing it without having anyone know. And the reason why is because I wanted to be selfish. Because you know how it is. It's already difficult being an artist. And if you're part of other artists, friends, and things like that, some people pretend to be your friends, but they're not, and everybody's like competitive. And I was in the mindset where I didn't want to share the secret that was working for me and how I was able to be happy, how I was able to have a consistent income. But then after I started doing that for years and I already proved my success, and he was like, you have to give back. Stop trying to hold a secret. I was scared of like letting people know about the projector, about my methods of the art references. I was trying to gatekeep everything. I was being the gatekeeper myself. And even though I had the money, I didn't have it in my spirit where I was happy. And then I started becoming more happy once I was giving back. And that's what led me. Thank you so much, Sweet Life. Thank you. Says I didn't know how to leave a comment on the super chat. It's okay. I appreciate you too. Thank you. So these are my mission statements now. And this mission statement is way more important than corporate America and how they try to keep you not believing in yourself. I always say, hey, you're a phenomenal person. Your corporate job won't tell you that. They'll only say that so you can keep working there, and they say things on afterwards. They go, hey, well, I promise we're not going to fire you. Like, what are you talking about? Why would you say that? I didn't say you were going to fire me. Now you got me thinking that you're going to fire me. No, 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 no. Just stay there. So it's my daily mission. I think up when I wake up or when I go to sleep, I think of, all right, how can I help more people today? How can I help more people free themselves either from corporate America or from a situation that they're in? How I was able to free myself. Am I doing enough, Lord? And he goes, yes, you are, my son. They're just lazy. No, I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. All right. So I did like my little background color thing. Let's start bringing this together a little bit. Let's start bringing this together a little bit, and then we'll be done. And it's so funny because now in this world, small creators, they compete with large corporations. I don't need to have a huge following like social media. I don't need to have a big tribe on YouTube. You can have a small tribe and it competes with corporate America. A small tribe can change your life. Beforehand, I thought that I had to, when you're like doing the Instagram stuff and social media, you had to compete and you had to try to get hundreds of thousands of views. And you have to do all of this different stuff that you think that you have to do to make any kind of money or to get your tribe. But that's not true at all. There's now there's a way where you could get your tribe just by a small amount of people. And it all starts there. All right, let's bring this home. I know when it came to corporate America, I was totally burnt out. And me, I don't have a I don't have a pretend personality face. If you already know that about me, I'm not really good at the whole. So it's hard for me to pretend that I'm not feeling corporate America or not feeling my coworkers, that I don't want to participate and play along with the game, to go along, get along. Like I was never able to move up because, for example, I wanted my lunchtime to be my lunchtime where I could uh, decompress. And their version of lunchtime was that we all hang out together every lunch. Stuff like that. Or like if they had team building activities that you had to go to after the team building happy hour together. I'm not doing that. I want to go home. And I would never have an alcoholic beverage at a company I work for. Never do that. Or even if it's outside. Besides, I'm not a drinker anyways, but now moving topics. Most people, when it comes to business, they don't fail at business. They just quit before it gets interesting, before they can succeed, before the water comes out the well, as I always like to talk about. And I'm realistic when it comes to those numbers because those are numbers that every coach knows about when it comes to business. Those are things that every business knows about. Is that most people don't quit because their business wasn't good or their art's not good or their structure's not good or them just not being able to be consistent because like I said, it has nothing to do really about art and your talent. It has nothing to do about that. It's about consistency. But most people quit before the gold and they let their brains play tricks on them, which is normal. I mean, your brain is powerful. You got to be a powerful person to not listen to your brain or crazy. That's why they always say like people who are good in business are usually sociopaths because there has to be a part of you that's like totally different from everybody else in society and like different and crazy. You have to like not think like everybody else because your brain will be like, this isn't working. This isn't that. Just go back to the cubicle. I wouldn't have been able to sell on eBay if it wasn't for the world slowing down during COVID because my brain kept playing too many tricks on myself that it wasn't working or because this is the thing. I had an eBay account prior to me actually selling on eBay. So I had an eBay account and there was like times where I would serve two masters, I would half foot it. I'm gonna be honest. The same way the majority of you guys work eBay, I was working eBay like that before I started working for eBay. I didn't really start working for eBay until I started working for eBay. And prior to it, I was working eBay how the majority of you work eBay. And it was kind of half foot in, half foot off. But when you half it or when you serve two masters, you don't get the benefits of it. You don't get the real benefits of eBay until you work it. And I wouldn't have known. I gave up. I kept giving up and thinking it doesn't work. Just like a lot of people give up when they think of Etsy or anything else. They say, oh, it doesn't work. And the reason why is because you're not committing to it. You're not working it. And it's not just that, it's every business. Most people give up. And I gave up so many different times where it's like, oh, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But then when the world slowed down, I had a chance to actually like be at home and work it. Then I noticed that, oh, hold on, I'm making more money now. Like it actually does work. Because I said I have nothing to lose. And I'm making more money now than my normal job. And I was like, this whole time, these years, like there was like, I think there was at least like 2 years that I wanted to work eBay like that before I worked it. But I just never thought, I just didn't understand the concept because looking from the outside looking in, it just didn't make sense to me. Like, what are you talking about? I'm starting off my artwork. The bid's at 99 cents. What do you mean? Why would I do that? Or not even why would I do that? But I'm like, why would customers, if I'm doing that, why would customers buy my buy it now stuff if they're seeing it? Like, I didn't understand the psychology and the whole business structure behind it. So I didn't do it. A lot of things in life we give up easy on. You think the people who created the app Duolingo, for example, and they teach you how to speak French. They teach you how to speak French. You think that they don't know that 80% of the people who download their app or who even pay for the Pro series, that they're not going to be successful and they're going to quit before they actually learn the language? They know that. And it's not based off of them because they've already created the system. They did it themselves. Probably the people who created the system, they know how to fluently speak. They've done it. They know how to do it. But they also know that majority of people who do the system or who do the program, they get their dopamine off of just downloading it and saying you're part of it, but you still have to work it. And they know that 80% of the people actually drop out and quit. Early sales feel slow and discouraging. That's any business. Just look at Starbucks, McDonald's. We're in the only business on eBay where the startup fee is cheaper than everybody else, but also that you could get your profits in a short amount of time compared to everybody else. Everybody else has to wait years until they get a profit or until they start seeing money our startup fee is very minimum, and our startup business cost of a profit can be less than a month. Petit Floral says someone bought my 99-cent auctions so they could see if the painting style would work well with their wall as a test. They then hit me up for a commission for $350. The auction system works. Exactly. I mean, the auction system works not just where it's always going to be 99 cents, because you're actually just building up a collectors where they compete against each other, and it builds up the psychology of it. Like, you end up making more money from it. It's not always going to be 99 cents. Like, some people think that that's the strategy where it's just 99 cents and it's not always going to be like that. It's going to build up because they're competing against each other. But that happened to me all the time too, where somebody got a painting from me for a low amount on an auction, and then the next week I've got a commission for $10,000, $12,000. And I didn't treat that buyer any different. I remember I didn't treat that buyer any different because they won the auction for that. And that happens all the time, where people want to see what it actually looks like in their house. And then once they see that it actually looks like in their house, but also what they're doing and not telling you, they want to see that if you delivered on time. They want to see that the art of what they see, okay, they see it, but they also want to know that you're in business for yourself, and they want to see that you packaged it and you shipped it on time. Okay, you're trustworthy. Now I can trust on you to do a larger project. It happens all the time. That's how I make money. The irony is, I don't think that any of the paint, like most of the paintings that I do, look good or whatever, but it's not up to me. It's up to the market. So early sales, they feel slow, and then people feel discouraged and they want to quit. And they're so quick to when they quit, they want to go back to their 9 to 5 where it's predictable. Okay, Johnny, I'm back here at the cubicle. I'm sorry, I was trying to leave you. That eBay thing didn't work. You were right. You were right, Susan. How dare I try to leave the company and try to believe in myself? That was stupid of me. I'll never do that again. And the thing is, once you quit at things, and I know about this as well too, because I've quitted things. You make it a habit. You can make it a habit to be a quitter and to give up on things. And once you start doing that, then you're basically saying to yourself, well, you feel like you'll start feeling like you deserve to be punished for trying to free yourself. Well, that's what I get. That's what I deserve. That's what I deserve from trying to get away from my good company. I guess my company's not that bad. My company's not bad. They treat me nice. They bring donuts on Thursdays, pizza parties on Fridays. I guess I don't have it too bad. They gave me a bonus for bottom mimosas and all you can eat chili chicken fingers. They're not bad people. How dare I try to free myself? Instead, what I always try to tell people, the best analogy is like the water well. I always talk about the water well, right? You don't see that water coming up. I mean, at least in our business, it's not like other business where you have to wait for a while. Like a lot of businesses, they don't even know if their company's successful until year 1. We're not even at the year part yet. It's gonna be year 1 in November. And look how far you've already came. Year 1, when I think back on year 1 for me when it came to eBay, I still didn't know anything. It took me at least year, it took me like year 2. It took me year two to really know. Didn't know anything. Year one, I'm making so many mistakes. I'm ruining my business on year one. I sure do have an email for resignation. If you want it, I'll send it to you. Let's fire ourselves today. Actually, you know what's funny? I don't have an email for resignation because I was never good at resonate. I was never good in doing stuff like that. I didn't want to give them a warning because I'm always worried that I got to explain myself. I got to look at you different when I go into the office. I'm always worried that I got to give an explanation. I don't like explaining myself to people. That's why I'm my own boss, because I don't like explaining myself to nobody. And I also don't want to feel like you might retaliate. Like I don't want to it's the same concept of how I act in business. I'm very secretive. I'm very like mysterious, you know? Like you're not going to know what Corbellic's doing until Corbellic does it. Cuz I don't want to give you a chance to influence my energy. Like who are you? Why do I got to give you a resignation? Why? I'm not giving you a 2 weeks notice. My 2 weeks notice is notice I'm not here. I've already got my mind set up and are made up, and you're not going to try to tell me otherwise. And what, like you think I want to have a going away party or something with y'all? You think I want to have y'all cutting me a cake and oh he's starting his own business? Because really deep down inside or something, you're wishing that my business isn't successful. Like, well, you know how many people and like I know that 99% of those people there, if not 100% of those people, they wish that they also did the same thing somehow. They're going to be asking you questions. So, what's this business thing that you're doing? Why are you leaving? Because they wish that they could do it too. What's the purpose of telling them? I know that you don't have the courage. I know that you don't have the work ethic. I know that you don't have the psychology where you are going to leave your job. So why am I explaining myself to you on the things that I did to free myself? I'm not explaining myself. Get back to work, Susan. So what? I tell you anything about my business, and then like when we're not working or something like that, you could be like on your free time when you're acting like you're pretending working at your cubicle or whatever you're doing, Susan. You could be on the internet looking up my business and seeing what my sales are doing and seeing what's going on. I don't need your energy. I don't need you a part of any of that. I'm not telling you nothing, Susan. We're not friends. Some people, it's hard for a lot of people to quit corporate America because you actually believe that you're friends with these people, and that's a psychology I can't help anybody out on. I'm never that naive. I was never that naive. Some of these people, it's hard for a lot of people to quit their job because you think, well, they're really nice people. I don't care. I don't care. I want my money. I'm on to a whole different frequency. They're nice people. I don't got time for it. It's easy for me to detach. And the people who it's not easy to do that, those are the people you're not going to be successful in. You want friends, I want money. You want friends, I want freedom. I just created the resignation right now for you. I just created it. Notice I'm not here. We just did it together. I used to. Petit Floral says your videos help me with realign my energy before work day so I can remember what matters the most. Like y'all have no idea how much I used to talk to myself like this before going into work. Like when I was on my way to commute to work, like waking up into the bed, like the waking up in bed or from bed, and then like getting dressed and all this stuff, and then commuting to work. I used to have such serious conversations with myself. And maybe that's why I'm able to communicate it so well, is because I've already had these conversations with myself for years, 1,000 times. So I'm just reiterating my thoughts of things that I've had for years. Like I said, I'm not talking to you. Or I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to myself. But you have to know that momentum, it compounds after being consistent. You know, the water is going to come out of that well. And when the water comes, then you're going to have your dopamines and your adrenaline is going to flood because you're going to see the rewards. Once you start seeing the rewards, all the hard work becomes easier, and it becomes better. It feels better. Many people stop before that water comes. You have to be persistent. That's the real advantage. That's why a lot of people aren't successful. It takes a strong psychology. This is the secret. You it takes a strong psychology to see the success before the reality of the success. That's how people are successful. Millionaires, billionaires are successful because they see the success in their mind before the reality in real life. You have to see it before it's here. If you don't see it today, if you don't see the reality of it, then you won't, it's going to be harder for you. I'm not saying that it can't happen. It's just going to be almost impossible. You have to pretend that you're a millionaire today. You have to see it. You have to walk it. You have to know it for it to manifest. That's how it happens. But a lot of people don't. It's so hard because when they're waking up or whatever their situation is, that's what they're manifesting constantly is their current reality instead of the reality of what they want. I don't know if that makes sense. It should make sense. It's very clear cut. Let me add a little bit more white. And then I could be done with this. I could have been done with it a long, long time, but I'm still on the subject of what I'm talking about because it's important. If you haven't already, please leave a like on this video. Let YouTube know that we're doing God's work out here. We're doing a great thing. We're freeing people with great conversations. I also appreciate everybody who left the super chat today. That really means a lot to me. It helps me get out of my head after when I close the live chat to be like, oh, was it a good live stream? Was it a bad live stream? Did I help people? Did I not help people? Look at that painting. Come on, stop playing. Stop playing with me. I'm still Corbellic. Do this with the eyes closed. All right. And there we go right there. Let me write my signature on it and I'll give your day back. I'm going to edit some videos and then hopefully make a inspirational video, right? Those are the things that I enjoy doing the most, where I get a chance to talk to you. If you're not already part of the elite community, please click the link that's already tapped in on the community notes there on the chats. It's pinned to the top. Look at this painting. Come on, look at this. Look at this beautiful woman. Look at this. We did this together. All right. Of course, I could have knocked this out faster, but I'm going through my topics. I'm going through my chat, right? Like, I'm also stringing it out so I can prolong the live a little bit and stay with you just a little bit longer. But look at this beautiful lady right here. This is a $1,000 painting. In the gallery, I sell it for more. But I thought I did share it in the share your store in the elite community so we can, okay. We were talking to her, apologize. So if you're already not part of the elite community, click the link below or click the link that's in the chat so that way you can learn how you can do this for yourself. Everything is mapped out for you. We have a community there that's going to support you along the way. Any kind of questions that you might have or anything, you're not going to be alone. There's also a 14-day orientation. So that way, by the time that you're done with your 14-day orientation, you're already going to have your store built up. You're going to have your listings mapped out, and you should have your first sale by then. All right. But then at least you're done with the biggest hurdle. All right. I really have fun today. I really enjoy talking about this topic. You know, this one is nearest, dearest to my heart, as all of them are. I appreciate it. I'm going to ice this down, edit some videos, get back to work. I got a whole bunch of other things to work on, as always. Get into the community, answer some emails there. Oh, also, I have a one-on-one. If you want to do a one-on-one with me so I can look into your store and I can see what issues might be going on, because you might be having some issues going on, and it doesn't take me long to really just look at it inside of your store, and I can fix the bugs for you so that way you can get the sales on the buy it now or in your auction. But also I can schedule out a routine for you so that way it can give you less friction and you can have a scheduling plan going forward. Then you can also schedule a one-on-one with me. It's inside the classroom. It's just in the hour one. You can click that on there, send me a message, let me know that you did that. And I look forward to working with you. I appreciate you guys. I love you. I appreciate it. Let's see who we have here in the comments. Make sure I didn't leave out any super chats. Let's see here. All right. No other super chats. I'll see you guys later. I appreciate it.